So welcome back to story time. When I started the story about loss of time, I started I started talking about the weighing of the heart against the feather. And even as I'm sharing these stories with you, I'm receiving revelations, like the dots are connecting themselves for me as well, making sense of some things that I was not able to make sense of before. Because now that I look back, I can see that there was a tremendous shift that was taking place. And I'm talking about in my life, there was a tremendous shift. So um, when we think about embracing our true identity, then you have to understand we've been operating under a false identity. Our identity was stolen. So who we are is so foreign to us. It's kind of like you're driving in a certain direction. I said I was going 90 miles an hour. In order to turn around, I'm going to have to just stop, right? Everything is going to have to come to a halt in order for me to turn around. And as I'm looking at my life and the different in Ching Ching, the different twists and turns that it took, everything in my life was coming to a screeching halt and being turned around that on the surface, in the physical realm. That's what was happening. I remember I think it was the following day when I woke up. This must have been around Christmas. It had to have been because I got a Christmas card from my sister-in-law in the mail, except it was to my husband and his girlfriend at the time. But we weren't together at that point in time, right? But but clearly I saw that something, that's another story for another time, but I saw that something else was going on that I didn't know about. And it was that he had taken his girlfriend to his mother's funeral. His mother had died suddenly, and that I didn't know, but I became aware of it when my sister-in-law from Florida sent that Christmas card to my home, not knowing, I guess, under the belief that we were no longer together. But again, that's a story for another time, because with regards to this, what I just call like a massive loss of time and experiencing of these two realities. Sometime later, I think it was like probably a few years later. I had I was having a gathering in my home for a lady who did angel readings. She said she could talk to the angels, and she was part of my mentor's small metaphysical church. And so she came over, and oh no, I was doing a gathering for something else, and then people weren't able to show up, and she showed up, and then someone else did. So while it was just she and I waiting, this is when she told me about her experience of talking to what she described as the angels. And she was just sharing different stories with me. And so at some point I was prompted to tell her what I just shared with you in the previous video. And um and she got real quiet, and she began to look around the room, and she said, she was like talking about angels, like in communication with angels. And she said, I said, what are you looking at? Because I could tell she was looking at something. And she said, it's like I'm seeing these angels, and it's like it looks like they're bowing, it's like they're bowing down. It looks like they're bowing down to you. But she said it's just that it's like they're so tall. Whoever she was seeing is like so tall that it's almost like they have to kind of like fold themselves in half. So it looks like they're bowing or something, but they're all around the room. And then she begins to talk, and she said, Now, she didn't know anything about Kids of the Cosmos. Okay. I hadn't told her. I don't even know if I had told anyone else, but she certainly didn't know about them. And so she began to speak, and she said it's like they're thanking you for what you have for what you have done. And she said, and they're showing me. She said, you know how the earth changes from time to time, and there'll be a island or something that may pop up in the sea. That would obviously be a result of a volcano or something. So she said, they're showing me this island, and there are people on this island, and they're there because of you. But they're able to do things with just their mind. Like they're able to create with just their mind. And she's saying this is like, she's like, it's like in the future, like it's like 300 years in the future, what they're showing me. And they have like a great honor for you because of what you've done, because of whatever you've taught them. And to try to make me understand, she said, I want you to just see, like, think about a furniture factory, right? So there are people that play different roles, they have different jobs in there, and but they're, you know, they're taking the wood and they're shaping it, they're cutting it, they're doing all of these things. And then when it's at the end of the assembly line, now you have a couch or you have a table or a chair, you have furniture. She said, well, it's kind of like that, except they can create without physical things. They can create with just their minds. And I'm sitting there listening to her. I'm like, oh my God, she's talking about Kids of the Cosmos, but I never told her anything of Kids of the Cosmos. And then she says to me, she said, all of those children that you spoke about, right? She said, I don't, I would never tell anyone this because I don't think they would understand. But I think you understand. She said, I know you would understand. And she said, I believe you literally cross dimensions. And whatever was going on there, you have an assignment here. And maybe you didn't want to complete this assignment, but you had to. And so those two children, it's like they gave their lives in exchange. That's why you didn't see any debris. It's like they gave their lives in exchange so you will come back on, so you will come back and finish what you had to do. She said, but I believe that's what happened. That's why you were aware of both places, and you were here, you could see all around you, but you couldn't move because you weren't fully back. He said you weren't fully back. So whatever whatever you're doing, based on what I'm seeing, is laying the foundation for what they will be doing 300 years in the future. And I don't even know if I told her about Kids of the Cosmos. I may have told her about Kids of the Cosmos after she said that, because I said in my previous video, Kids of the Cosmos was about those children like me who had abilities and no one to share it with. They knew things, they could see things, they could do things, right? No one to share it with. One little tiny story that's coming to me is I remember when my kids were little, my son has a brother, and he came over and he was so hungry for knowledge. And he was telling me he wanted to read one of my metaphysical books, and he was telling me, oh, I have friends and some of them can read fire, and others something with water. I can't remember, but the one with read fire just, stuck with me. And I was showing him my book because I was a little concerned that he was moving into something just through curiosity that could be dangerous or evil or that type of thing. And he spent a day with me, and he was just sucking in information. He was 13, I believe he was like 13 at the time. So we'll continue that. I just wanted to share that story, and we'll continue with story time in the next video.